All right, welcome everybody to our 1 hour warm vinyasa class in the studio. Just of course, if you turned up your heat at home, kudos to you if you needed that today. We are going to start seated and just kind of close our eyes for a few moments here. Taking a few inhales and exhales in through our nose, out through our nose as well. Assessing anything that's going on in our head that just needs to be observed for a few moments. And maybe once you just consider it for a couple moments, let it go. Also, just looking through your body and like your shoulders, your back, your hips, knees, all those areas that can be nagging sometimes. Just kind of look to those, set that awareness of your body, your state of mind. I'm going to be doing some hip openers and such today. So maybe just considering something that you could let go of that might come up repeatedly in your life. Sometimes it's self-doubt, sometimes it's an argument or something that's just a repetitive situation you find yourself in that doesn't serve you, doesn't bring you joy, doesn't push you forward. It's considering releasing that, just letting it go out into the universe. As you continue to breathe through your nose, just feeling the warmth of the room here or feeling that temperature of the air. Let your forehead find some ease and cheeks rest. Shoulders going to find some ease as well. So on your next inhale, I want you to just shrug your shoulders up by your ears. See if you can touch your earlobes with those shoulders, even though you might not be able to, but kind of squish them really close. Kind of tighten those muscles right around your shoulders and neck. Another inhale here. Nice, settle, slowly release those shoulders down to neutral. We don't want to drop them. We want to release that stress. I'm going to do that one more time. Bring those shoulders up by your ears. Create some tension there. And then soften your face, soften those shoulders down with an exhale. Just feel that release. Breathe into the length of your spine. And let's find some movement in our arms. Let's blink our eyes open. Take an inhale, reach hands out and up overhead. And exhale, let hands float down. Do that again. Inhale, reach hands high. Let fingertips touch just to get that awareness and that sensation. And exhale, hands come down. One more time. Inhale, reach hands high. And exhale, hands float down. I'm going to walk hands straight out in front of us. Bring forehead down towards the mat. Find this gentle rock of your torso right to left. And you draw one ear over by one shoulder and then alternate right to left. All right, walk those hands back towards you. We're going to just switch the cross of our legs. So take an inhale, reach hands out and up overhead. This time, right hand comes down, meets the ground. Lean over to the right side. Take that left knee. If it wants to lift here, push it down. Use that releasing exhale. Let's look up underneath our bicep here towards the corner of the room. And then look down at that right hand. Come back up to center, lift both hands high. And then exhale, left hand comes down, take that stretch the opposite way. Just breathe here, find a little length in your spine. Gaze up underneath right arm. And shift that gaze down to left hand. Come back up to center. Inhale and exhale. Let's bow forward here. Again, just take a gentle rock right to left, looking for tension in those hips. Maybe it's your back or shoulders that you feel this. All right, let's sit upright. We're going to bring our soles of our feet together, come into the butterfly pose. And the knees are out wide. We're just going to bounce those knees, not using really any strength yet. Just release into those hips. When we think about bouncing the knees, sometimes we don't move as much as we might be able to in those hip sockets. So think about that hip socket and letting it rotate and move from the hip socket here. So it might slow that bounce down a little bit, but really just kind of releasing, again, without using those muscles, but all right, release that down. Hold on to those ankles if you're not. Sit up nice and tall. We're going to bend those elbows to push into our thighs or into our knees. Hinge forward any bit. And as you hinge forward, think about that low back. Stick your tailbone out behind you. And then try to create this long spine so that you're not tucking chin into neck. I want that neck just straight out from your back. From here, we're going to squish those shoulders up by our ears like we did earlier. And then elongate as you relax those shoulders down. See if you can pull yourself deeper into that bend. Maybe elbows push into those thighs or calves a little deeper. And can you rock a little bit right to left here? All right, come back upright. We're going to extend the right leg out in front of us. Just grab this left leg. So cradle that shin and that lower leg like a baby. If you can get that foot into the crick of that right elbow, you're going to hold it like that. Otherwise, we're just going to use our hands and take that knee back and forth. Because remember, like we're trying not to use strength here. So find some mobility in that hip up and down, right to left. And then I have this tendency, because my hips are tight, I lean backwards. So if that's you as well, just sit up a little taller and try to ground down into those sit bones. All right, so now we're going to take the bottom of that left foot and really push that knee out to the side and try to get that foot to the center of your chest. It's probably not going to get there today. It's not something we work on a lot. So we're going to just rotate that foot and ankle. We want to be stretching the outside of left ankle and working that foot in a way that you're looking to touch that chest. And breathe. Try not to hold your breath here. Now, can you kind of knit that knee and that hip around a little bit? Then try to bring that foot again closer to the center of that chest. All right, let that go. Straighten that leg. Give your arms a break. For me, that's like a big arm workout. Plenty. I don't need chaturangas when I do that. All right, let's do that on the opposite side. You can cradle that leg or grab knee and foot. Just rock that leg right to left. Again, sitting up nice and tall if we tend to lean backwards. Pull that thigh towards your chest. Again, rock it, lower and lift it. Find some just movement in that hip socket. All right, same thing here. We're going to grab that right foot, send that right knee out as far as you can to the side and work to get that foot towards the center of your chest. And rotating that ankle in. You sit up a little taller. Make sure if you're holding your breath, you breathe. And put that leg down. All right, extend both legs out into just this nice V. If you're hypermobile, they don't need to go out really wide, probably just a foot wider than your mat. We're gonna sit up nice and tall, bring those fingertips behind us, tenting fingers so that our spine is nice and long. And then flex toes towards you, and then try to touch the outside of your feet down to the mat. So the whole time, we're trying to find this external rotation, really fire up into those legs. Push toes and pinkies down to the ground. And breathe. We're actually setting up so that we can do lotus. This is a really good warm-up pose. We'll go into that later. All right, relax those feet down. Let's come into tabletop. Relax those legs a little bit. Moving through some cat-cows. Inhale, drop belly, gaze up. And exhale, round spine, push the earth away. Do a couple more of those. Inhale, drop belly, gaze up. And exhale, round spine. Going to add any additional movement here that your back or shoulders, hips need. And tuck toes, lift hips up into your first down dog, pedaling out your feet. Bend knees, gaze forward, step to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, bow, release into forward fold. You can bend knees here. Grab opposite elbows, find a sway. And also feel free to play between straight legs and bent knees, looking for that tension somewhere that you can release. All right, fingertips come down to the mat. Roll that spine up to stand. Deep inhale, reach hands high. Come into slight back bend. And exhale, let's forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Bend knees, hands to the mat. Step just your right foot back. Lower down to right knee and come into low lunge. You can rock forward and back a little bit. Again, think like, how are we going to release those hamstrings, hips? Let's find some good movement here. And then set up with that low lunge. Hands are going to come to left thigh. Untuck those back toes if they're tucked and lean forward so that you're stretching through your hip flexors. That front of your hip. Maybe even arch back a little bit. Gaze upward. And bring that gaze forward again. So now I want you to think about tucking that tailbone underneath you like you were doing a cat stretch. So think about cat stretching that spine, shift tailbone underneath you. It's really going to target into those deep psoas, all those hip flexor muscles. All right, release that contraction there. Bring right hand down to the mat. Open up into a twist. Left hand goes high. Deep inhale, and on that exhale, just reach straight behind you. Maybe look back at that hand. And then on an inhale, we're going to follow that hand up as it rainbows over. Reach through, tap that right hip. Go underneath that right arm. Yep. All right, inhale, reach that hand back high. And exhale, bring hand down. I'm going to step forward. So tuck those back toes and step right foot to the top of your mat. Take your forward fold. Bend knees, and when you're ready, step back with that left foot to your lunge. Lower down to that knee and find some movement. Forward and back, maybe a little bit of circling. All right, coming back, look forward. We're gonna untuck that back foot, bring hands to that right thigh. Hinge forward into that stretch. Think back bend, gaze up at the sky. And then trying that cat stretch. Tuck chin to chest, tuck tailbone underneath you. Really targeting and tensing those hip flexors. All right, release that down. Bring left hand to the mat. Right hand opens up to the sky. Let that hand reach behind you. Gaze follows. And then sweep that hand up and over. Just let that head follow. Reach underneath you. Tap that hip if you can. Bring it back up. Kneeling dragonfly. And hand comes down to the mat. Tuck that toe. Let's step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise. Reach up to stand. Maybe a little bit deeper back bend. You can try cactus arms too if those feel really good in your body. Inhale, reach hands high, nice and tall. Exhale, forward fold. If you find your low back catching it all, let's find some release when we forward fold by bending our knees. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, bow. Bend knees, plant hands, step right foot back. Staying up off of that knee this time. If you want to modify down to that knee, feel free to. We're just going to shift forward and back. Work to straighten this front leg a couple times to get into the hamstrings. And a great opportunity to grab those blocks and have them at the top of your mat to bring the floor closer as a way to just deepen your practice here. All right, square off around that front foot. Right hand is down either on the mat or block and open up to your twist. Gaze upward. Let that hand reach behind you, gaze follows. And then sweep hand forward, up and over. Reach under, tap that right hip. Inhale, lift back up overhead. Let that gaze follow. And hand plants. Let's step forward. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, bow. Bend knees, plant hands, left foot steps back. Again, shift that weight around, straighten that front leg a few times as you work into a little bit variation of a pyramid. Come into your low lunge. Left hand stays down, right hand opens up. Let that gaze follow. Deep breath and then reach behind you. Circle it around, up and over. Reach under, find that left hip or left thigh. See if you can really get that right shoulder to round through. It's kind of this twist that we start coming into here as our spine warms. Reach further down that thigh as your body warms. All right, open back up into dragonfly. Exhale, hand down to the mat, step forward. Halfway lift and bow. Sweep those arms up to stand. Come into your back bend. And exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. Bow. Step back with right foot. Find that low lunge. We're just planting right hand right away now. Lift left hand high. All right, so adding on here, I want you to roll to the pinky edge of both of your feet. I'm going to turn sideways so those of you online can see. So we're rolling to that pinky edge of both feet. You're letting left knee fall out wide and rolling to that outside of your right foot as well. Our hips are like, you're doing what? So don't worry. Sometimes it's like your muscle memory doesn't do this. So you're like, okay. So as a modification, you could bring both hands down like you're doing lizard pose and just drop out and roll out to the outside of that foot. It's a great way to kind of get that brain thinking of where we're going. All right, see if you can reach that left hand straight behind you like we did from dragonfly. And then let that gaze reach up and over. We're gonna square off, tuck underneath, touch that right thigh. Come back to dragonfly twist. Those feet are planted here. Low lunge, step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Step left foot back. Open up to that dragonfly twist. Gaze upward. Again, try to roll to the outside of that left or right foot rather. That knee drops out. So you might stay right there. You can also add that left foot pinky edge on both feet. Reach straight behind you. And reach up and over. We're going to plant both feet so we're in low lunge. Sweep to that left leg. And then back up to dragonfly twist. Low lunge, hand plants, step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Let's rise, reach up to stand. Back bend. And exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift. And bow. Bend knees, plant hands, right foot steps back. All right, dragonfly twist. All right, either go to lizard pose, so you'll be here, or you can roll to the outside pinky edges of those feet, reach straight behind you. Let that gaze follow. Now we're gonna lower that right hip down to tap the mat. So you're really stretching through the outside of that right hip. And then from there, lifting with your hips, cartwheeling that hand back, plant those feet, tap the right side. Open up to dragonfly twist. I'm also like getting you all awkward today, so all of you feel like none of you know what you're doing. So that's a goal today, right? All right, low lunge. Yogi teacher humor. Step forward. Halfway lift. And bow. Left foot steps back. Open up, dragonfly twist. All right, lizard on this side, or drop to those outside edges of those feet. You're gonna reach behind you. That left hip lowers down and lifts. You cartwheel to reach behind and underneath that leg. Open up, dragonfly twist. Hands plant, step forward. Halfway lift. And bow. Rise, reach up to stand. Forward fold. Halfway lift. And bow. Step right foot back. Dragonfly twist, left hand goes high. Okay, see how your body's doing. Can you roll to those pinky edges of your feet? Maybe lower that hip down, reach behind you. Come back to center. So from here, we're gonna really tricky. We're gonna step back to that side plank. So left leg has to come back and stack on top of that right foot. Option, lower down to that right knee for assisted side plank. That can feel really good as well. All right, we're gonna plant and sweep. We're gonna step forward with that left foot into that lunge and sweep that hand under. Tricky. Side plank. And it's like, do this again. Okay, side plank, step left foot forward to low lunge. That hand sweeps out under. Open up, dragonfly twist. Low lunge. Step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Step the opposite leg back. So I'm thinking, I think that's stepping left leg back. Yes, dragonfly twist. When I rotate around a lot, my brain is like, what are you doing? All right, so lizard or roll to the outside pinky edge of those feet. Reach behind you, lower that hip down. Lift up. Shifting to that side plank. Use that knee as a modification. Get stronger where you're at today. All right, if you're gonna step that foot forward, look where you're gonna put it at the top of your mat. Step that foot forward, reach under, tap that hip. Open up, dragonfly twist. Plant that hand. Step forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Bow and release. Let's grab opposite elbows here. Head hangs heavy. All right, this is a great time. Like, I've been working on a parigraha in my 500-hour yoga training. And that basically means letting go of attachments, not just to like physical things, but also ideas. So that's a great thing to do with release here today. Trying to let go of any notions that you think or wish. Just being like, man, my body's amazing in this moment, in these spots. Being really kind with those words to ourselves, letting go of any expectations, just moving with ease, finding where we're challenged, but not beating ourselves up in a yoga class. All right, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Rise, reach up, stand, come into that back bend. All right, adding on here, we're gonna interlace those fingers behind us, draw shoulder blades together, step those feet out wide, and hinge forward. Let's lead with that heart into this fold as hands release up to the sky. All right, hands come down to the mat. Find our first plank. So yogi's choice. Do you want to do a chaturanga or just meet us right in down dog? Always options to flow in these classes. All right, once you're in down dog, take right leg high. Step forward to your low lunge. Open up to that dragonfly twist. Towards that right side. Roll to those pinky edges. Take your version. Lower down to that hip. Step back to side plank. Gaze forward at the top of your mat. Step foot forward, reach underneath, tap that left hip. Open up to the right side, dragonfly. Hand plants. Step back to down dog. Left leg goes high. Step forward to that lunge. Dragonfly twist. Roll to the outside of those feet. Lower down that hip, stretch it out. Lift up to center, step that foot back to side plank. Again, gaze forward at the top of your mat. Step forward to that lunge. Reach under right side. Dragonfly twist. Plant that hand, step back to plank. Lift hips up into down dog. Take a couple breaths here, pedal out those feet. All right, bend knees, gaze forward, step or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise, reach up to stand. Release those fingers and then interlace them behind you. Step out mat with a part forward fold here. Let those hands come up high. Release hands down to the mat into your fold. Yes, we had really good timing there, I'm not gonna lie. That was really good. All right, bend knees, plant those hands, step back to your plank. Deep breath at plank here. Either hold plank or flow through chaturanga push-up and then up dog. Everyone will come into down dog. Take right leg high. Step forward, low lunge. Open up to that dragonfly twist. Roll to pinky edges. Drop that hip down. Reach behind you. And come into side plank. All right, this time we're gonna take that top leg, step it right behind us. Open up that heart into this version of flip dog here. So looking to externally rotate through that base arm. You can do this on your knee. Just step straight. Bring that hand back down. We're gonna step that foot forward. Circle that hand around, reach for that left hip. Open up, dragonfly twist. Hand down, step back to plank. And lift hips to down dog. Lift left leg high. Step forward, low lunge. Open up into your twist. Roll to the outside of your feet, reach behind you. Drop that hip down. Lift that hip back up, step to side plank. And that left foot will step just behind you. Stay on your tippy toes, maybe externally rotate through that right arm. Lift up into your twist, or rather their flip. See what it feels like. If you're kneeling, straighten that top leg. Yeah. And we're stepping back forward into your lunge. That hand circles around, reaches for left or right side. Open back up. And hand down, step back to plank. You can find your flow or go right to down dog. Just holding there. Option to take child's pose if your wrists need a little bit of break here. We're gonna hold for about 15 more seconds. All right, we're gonna shift through. We're gonna go through that a little bit more, or one more time on each side, adding on just a little bit more to that flow. When you're ready, we're gonna make our way to a forward fold at the top of our mats. Inhale, halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, bow and release. So reach hands out and up overhead. Come into your back bend. Push those hips forward. And come back upright, interlace those fingers behind you. Step feet mat width apart. Draw shoulder blades together, lead with that heart forward. Those hands reach high. Deep breath in and then hands release down to the mat. Step back to plank. Find your flow, make your way to chaturanga. And all the way to down dog. Take right leg high. This time bend knee, open up through that side. Take your stretch. So you can stay here looking for some height and openness through that hip, or take this to full flip dog here. Putting that right foot down. Look back at that mat. Everyone extends leg to three-legged dog. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, low lunge, step forward. Left hand stays down on the mat. Open up to that right side dragonfly twist. Maybe roll to the outside edges of those feet. Reach behind you as that hip drops. Step back, side plank. Step that right foot behind you. Got this mini version of flip dog. Gaze back at the mat. We're gonna step forward, low lunge. That hand sweeps around. Dragonfly twist, open up, gaze upward. Hand plant, step back to plank. Lift hips up. Left leg goes high. Bend knee, open up through that hip. Staying there, looking for some motion in ankle and knee, or taking it to flip dog. Gaze back at that mat. Three-legged dog for everyone. Step forward, low lunge. Dragonfly twist. Roll to the outside edges of your feet. Reach behind you. Drop that hip down. Engage, lift to center, and step back to side plank. Just step that foot off the mat, that top foot, open up heart. Gaze back at that mat. Step forward. Reach through, tap that right hip. Dragonfly twist, open up. Plant that hand, step back. Lift hips high into down dog, pedal out feet. Lower down into tabletop. Find rock pose. So knees are gonna stay right under us. Chest rests on your thighs, forehead down to the mat. See if you can sit back on those heels a little bit more. Come up into tabletop. All right, so we're gonna turn sideways on our mats into tabletop. So everyone's head is gonna face that window or out the right side. Then just step those knees out. We're doing that so our knees have cushion as we find this frog stretch. So you're keeping hips and knees in one line, stepping those knees out sideways so that you're getting that adductor stretch, those inner thighs. And we're gonna just play here for a second. I want you to tuck that tailbone under, find that cat stretch, and then stick tailbone out, find cow belly. And I want you to be in neutral spot. So find halfway between those two, something that feels like your back isn't extending or flexing. Lower down to forearms. Now look back at your feet. Ankles should be aligned with your knees, and then toes are gonna point outwards. So the insides of your arches of your feet are gonna point or be down on the mat. Now shift forward just a little, backwards and forwards. Looking to get into those hip sockets. Feel free to widen your knees or take them less intense. If you're holding tension in that neck at all, release it. Option to also extend hands out into child's pose stretch here with the forehead coming down to the mat. Trying to get chest down to the ground. All right, if you have those arms stretched out, bring elbows back underneath shoulders and step feet together to touch. Soles of your feet come together just like we did in Padmasana. And again, trying to just shift forward and back a little bit here. Finding those tight spots. Where does it catch for you? And breathe into those spots and try to release tension in your hips. Might be sliding forward further. When you find those spots that really feel catchy for you, just take a nice slow exhale. All right, same thing here, looking to maybe draw that chest down towards the mat, stretch out arms. Even work your way into more of a diamond shape here. So if we're sitting back on our heels and experimented there, I want you to bring it forward so that you have more of a diamond shape between your legs. And then play with lowering belly and chest down towards the ground. All right, slowly push back, let those hips come back towards heels. Walk hands. Slowly come upright, bring those knees together. Sit back on your heels. Thighs together. All right, you can turn towards me if you want. All right, from here, this left or right hand is going to come down to the mat and just reach left hand overhead. Gaze up. Come back to center, both hands high, and take that stretch opposite side. Do that one more time each side. Once we're over to the right, this time I want you to tuck that shoulder down and then look up underneath that arm towards the sky. Come back to center. Hand comes down. Again, roll that shoulder. And open it up. Looking for those tension spots in your body. All right, come back to center. Take an inhale, reach both hands high. We're gonna rise up just to kneeling. On that exhale, sit down, hands come down. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach up. And exhale down. 1 more time. And exhale down. All right, now we're gonna set up for camel pose. So this time when we rise up, we want us to tuck our toes underneath us. Bringing those heels a little closer. Then inhale, reach hands high. Left arm is gonna circle around, go to our low back, and then right arm circles around, goes to our low back. We try to draw elbows towards each other, push that heart forward, push hips forward. Gaze up. Gonna breathe into the front of your body here. All right, this might be enough for you. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can bring hands down to those heels. And continuing to open up through that heart. Slowly bring that head up first, tuck chin into chest. Hands come to the fronts of your thighs, sit back. On those heels, you can untuck your toes. Letting your spine neutralize here. All right, coming back to seated. All right, we're gonna go back to those stretches that we did at the beginning of class, just kind of comparing and looking at where we're at now. So bring the bottoms of your feet together and bounce those knees. All right, adjust so you feel your sit bones underneath you. Sometimes I even have to like take the flesh on my butt, and I like to get the flesh out of the way so that I'm more like on the sit bones of my tush. And sit up nice and tall. Can push elbows into calves again. Find that forward fold. Pushing those knees out wide. And we're gonna slowly come back up and extend that right leg out. Take left leg, cradle in that shin or lower leg. And you can grab that with your hands. Maybe even like that. All right, play with that hip flexibility here. Find some movement where it feels like you might be getting into a good stretch. Might include rocking forward and back. All right, taking that left foot into both hands, draw that foot towards the center of your chest. And internally rotating that ankle so that you're really stretching. All right, release that foot down. Do that on the other side. Do this today. All right, again, just kind of work into your body, like wherever you feel tight. This is a great chance to just explore that and work through any tension. Ironically, I feel this more in my back than my hip. It's like everybody is so different. All right, take that right foot into both hands. Again, work to get that knee out wide, get that foot turning inward towards your chest. All right, releasing that foot down. Let's extend both legs out to that V again, nothing too wide. Just gonna turn those big toes or pinky toes down towards the ground. And draw toes backwards. So I want those toes energized. Even think about creating some space between those toes. And try to push those pinkies down to the mat. So you're really externally rotating. Maybe grab your calves this time. And even work on getting those calves turning a little bit more upward. What we're going for is this internal rotation in this hip socket. Or external rotation rather. So take a moment, press those pinkies down like as much strength as you can. And then release it. I'm gonna do that one more time. Take those pinkies, really push them down, flex toes towards you, and release. All right, kind of bobble those legs a little bit. All right, so all of that work, working to get into lotus pose, which is where our legs are crossed and feet go on top of each other. So we'll start with just one side first. Extend right leg straight out in front of you, or it could be at a slight angle, and then just bring that left foot to your hip pocket, and that foot comes in. So you can see how that rotation in our leg was really important. So you might just be really comfortable like working here today, one leg at a time, where you're gonna push this knee downward, just working on half lotus. Sitting up tall. And then we're gonna just do the other side. And work with that hip rotation. Try to get that knee down. So when you're like 4, your body will just be like, and you can tuck those feet under you, and you probably did it all the time when you were kids. And as our bodies age, we're just like, no, we can't do that anymore. But that actually in yoga is like the true meditative posture that they want you to like work towards. It's very yogic, telling you what you should look like as you're doing yoga. So it's always the interesting part of yoga for me, because it's unattainable for so many of our bodies. It's just like, why can't you do any comfortable seated position? Anyway, so we're going to straighten that leg. Let our legs just breathe for a second. And then if you want, you can continue to do like flip sides. If you just want to do one leg, if you want to play with doing full lotus, like I think I have to tuck left foot in first and try it that way. And then you work that right foot towards you and work to get that foot on top. And honestly, it takes me a whole hour of class almost to warm my body up to do it. You're just like, what? And you can see, like, I have lift under my knee here, it's just like working into that flexibility. Crisscross applesauce, great modification. Like if you want to just sit in crisscross applesauce and work on forward folds. Just trying. It took me like weeks now. I've been working on this before I was going to teach it in the class. Yeah, it stretches the outside of your ankles. And what I love about this new painting is that it's just like a natural, easy seated posture, not anything too fancy. Yeah. All right. Rando. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're gonna come out. If you can, undo that leg. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. The next class we're doing is, instead of dodgeball yoga, we're gonna do stuck yogi yoga. All right, we are gonna try the opposite side. It's often you often favor one side. So just exploring and comparing, not with like a judgment comparison, just observing like what it is that kind of keeps us imbalanced on our bodies. Yeah, like I can actually I'm not even gonna try because I can feel it in my knee already. So if you want to bring that left foot up, try to stack it there, go right ahead. Yeah, and you could, like, I know I can get here, stack that leg underneath. Kate's like, no. Yeah, like I can't do it. I kind of wonder if, yeah, like I can, like, I just know, like I can't. Yeah, there are, like, in some classes in town here, and I'm like, who are you, voodoo girl? My leg would break. Yeah. It actually does feel good to tuck that leg underneath today. So progress, not perfection. All right, slowly, let's release out of that. Straighten those legs. Let's tap them out and point and flex those toes. Make circles with your ankles. Just find some free movement here. Windshield wipers always help me. All right, and we also did shoulder work today. So I wanna do supported fish pose, that supported cross, where we tee off our blocks at the back of our mat. So we're gonna put one block, make that T. I think you guys at home have all done this before. So the idea is the one block is gonna go right about your bra strap, and you're gonna lie back on it. And the other block is for your head. And you may or may not use that block. Legs can be bent or extended. And then you tee off arms. And if you tee off your arms and they just rest on the mat, I'm going to have you kind of fly those hands up and overhead. Look for areas where those fingers lift from the mat and hang out to open up those pectorals, wherever your tightness is at. Even if you're teeing off those arms, you can make those angel wings like you're making snow angels. Wherever you find that tension, there's no wrong way to do this here. Just finding something that feels releasing for you. And to come up and out of this, we're going to bring those elbows down underneath us and slowly tuck chin to chest, roll up off of that block to the side. Let's move them out of the way, then find our way back to that lying on our backs position. Maybe pull knees into chest, rock right to left. Right, reach through for those inner arches of your feet. You can grab ankles or backs of your thighs as well. And set up into happy baby. You pull those knees down towards your armpits or towards the outside edges of your mat. Try to get those heels over your knees. You can rock right to left. Again, just find some movement. And when you're done there, just hug those knees back into chest. We're going to make that a tight little ball, nose to knees. Squeeze everything together. I like to take one deeper inhale, see how that feels, where my tension arises. And release into Shavasana. Let all that energy come into your hands and your feet. Just taking advantage of this pause here at the end of our practice. These moments that our thoughts can slow down. There's chances that we don't get throughout the day often. Really settle in. Actually, in this settling, it's more of a reset for our bodies. Just paying attention to those hips here and letting hips really sink down into the ground and release any tension they're still holding on to. Feel that breath kind of run all the way to your feet. Heels feel heavy and toes fall out to the sides. That breath, raise and lower your chest and belly with ease. And just as you're ready, let's come out of Shavasana. Finding small movements and fingers and toes. Eventually, you'll bring those knees to your chest. Roll off to your side. And when you're ready, push up to that seated spot on your mat. Oof. Cross those legs. Feel free to set up into locust or lotus pose if you wish. If you wish. Maybe sit up a little bit taller. Find that length in your spine. Just finding this ease in your body. Maybe a little bit clearer, a little bit more space for this goodness and positive energy in our body and in our minds. And going out and sharing that with the world this evening. Let's take a deep inhale, reach hands out and up overhead. Hands come together and down to heart, head bows. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. I hope you have an amazing night. Namaste.